Good afternoon or good morning. This is Jay McVane, Result Engineering. Hey, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about storing microfilm from an imaging system. If you're familiar with a Kodak archive writer, you know it's a machine about the size of a household dryer that you can process digital images into and create microfilm. But it's not terribly handy when it comes to mating with an OnBase imaging system until now. We've actually developed a product called AWCC, Archive Writer Command Center, that allows OnBase to talk to the digital archive writer so that when you need film, creating images from your library, you're not having to do the filming twice, once into the archive writer itself and then again into OnBase. Scanning into OnBase is all you really need to do. Let me show you how that works. We've got a program here called AWCC. I'll launch it right there. It's very simple. And we actually have 3 tabs inside. The first tab I want to talk about is Templates. The Template tab, as you'll notice here when I highlight a template and click Edit, is you'll see that we're actually talking to the default location for an archive writer, the archive writer name, the film format used to create a film template, and 2 special keywords called roll and frame that the archive writer sends back to OnBase to store the roll and frame information for every image that it writes. We also have a custom location here for header and trailer pages. The archive writer can be used to mark the end and beginning of a roll of film. Those 2 options are blank today because we're not actually creating header pages for this example, but the option is there. So you realize this is just standard archive writer information on how the film template and the addresses could be set up very simply. The other tab in here to concern ourselves with is your roll information. As you know, the archive writer will create many rolls of film over its lifespan, and we track every one from cradle to grave. In this example, our roll ID is 0001 and 0000 with a little image address. Our last image we've written is 8. It's very easy to understand. And on the Jobs tab, we have a list of all the jobs that we've run. And if I click on one, you'll be able to see how that's been created. Click View Job. I know when this job was run, the fact that it was successful. It had 18 valid images and no invalid image. Well, that raises a question about an archive writer. What is an invalid or valid image? Well, we're only storing and creating film from valid TIFF images, such that if you've stored things like PowerPoints, Excel documents, Word documents inside OnBase, they really can't be turned into film because they're not based on a TIFF file format. The items in this job are listed right here, just the same way you'd see them in OnBase with their document name, auto name string. Here's the list of files that would have been run from this local PC. These are the image names, and here's a status log of the job that was last run. I know everything about this job, the image address that it began with, and the images that were processed, and the fact that it had finished normally. This job can be resubmitted from this menu alone by clicking the job itself and doing a resubmit. So now let's look and see how we can actually use this product inside of OnBase. I'm going to close AWCC and open the OnBase program. What shows up here, first of all, is what's called a custom query inside OnBase. And this custom query is designed to bring back just the case numbers that I want to put on film based on my search criteria here of case number. And I also have a roll and frame keyword that I'm going to display. And the other information here that you need to know is that there's a script tied behind each of these 2 special icons on the screen. And I'll show you how those work in a second. I'm going to search on some documents that I need to put on film. And these happen to be documents from a criminal case. So I'm going to search on CR asterisk and pick a date range of January, February of this last year. The conditions from your filming will be different, of course, different case numbers, different date ranges, but just know that this custom query is designed to bring back the documents that I need to film. So these are all criminal cases stored in my digital archive OnBase. They're all CP filings, and none have been filmed before because the roll and frame information, these 2 columns in the custom query, are blank. Well, the first thing I need to know before I do any filming is, will my film hold the images I'm about to scan? you'll know that the roll of film when it's first blank stores several thousand images, but of course you don't use every roll of film completely, and there's going to be some remainders left over. Film's expensive, and you want to be able to use all the film that you can. So first of all, we have a query we can run. After I select my documents, I'll select this first yellow icon here, which is check length of job. We do a simple calculation based on the number of images there are. There are 24 images in this batch. So whether these are single page or multiple page files, I don't really care. I'm just counting the number of total pages about to be filmed. I know that I've got some standard reductions here, common to the archive writer template, 24x, 32x, 40x. And based on the orientation of the images on the film, portrait or landscape, side by side or single, that I'll be using perhaps 0.92 feet of film at a 24x reduction, or a little less film, 0.69 feet at a 32x reduction, or 0.55 feet at a 40x reduction. This is simply a calculation. It doesn't affect the images or the archive writer. If I select more images or less images, this number just goes up or down depending upon what's available. So let's say this is enough images to fit on my film. I've got about 200 feet left, so I can spare about 0.9 feet. I'm going to go ahead and let this job run. I'll select the next button over, and I'm going to commence an operation. In this case, I do not want to begin end of roll images for this roll. It won't be complete yet, so I'll say no. I'm now connecting to the archive writer. I know that my next bit of imaging will begin with image number 9, because the last image I wrote was number 8. There's my roll of film that I'm using. I've got 213 feet remaining. If all this is correct, I can just say continue. I've moved the images over to a staging folder, written them out to the archive writer, and the job is done. Just that fast. Now, how do I know the images got to the film? That's the next question. Well, I'm just going to refresh my screen here, and lo and behold, you can see the roll and frame information appearing on the window here. So I know these images have been written, and my next job can continue with these images. So I always know where I stand with the archive writer, where my images are, and what needs to be done. The simplest way you'll ever have to film microfilm with a Kodak archive writer. You've just seen it. Hey, this is Jay McVeigh, Results Engineering.